WeThrive is really born out of my experience as a software entrepreneur, setting up and founding a business and finding myself in charge of a large number of people and feeling like I needed some additional help and support to be able to do that effectively. I worked for the organisation I founded for 5 years and through an earn-out when we sold that business for another 2 years for a much larger organisation, and I saw the same challenges where line managers were expected to help their team to perform better, to be engaged or motivated, yet they either A, didn't have the knowledge and experience to do that, or were under significant time pressures and therefore didn't have the bandwidth to do it. So I saw that throughout my business life, and I got introduced to Piers, who's the co-founder in this business. He was introduced to me as a calm voice in a storm by a mutual friend, and I actually ended up working with Piers, helping me to recover from a very traumatic hospitalisation experience, and he helped me to calm this stress reaction down significantly so I could actually behave like a normal person. And following from that, we had a conversation over a pint in a pub in Sussex about what he actually did for a living, and it was about helping organisations to understand where the stress reaction was occurring and what the root cause was, but he was doing that as a consultant. And so what we did was discussed whether we could take my software as a service online expertise and Piers's business psychology expertise and put those together.
But on the face of it, WeThrive is selling a software solution, and indeed it is. It's a software as a service product which enables you to understand what is going on in your people's minds and make working life better for them. But actually we're not really selling software. What we're selling is something to do with human capacity and human intelligence. We think of intelligence as being a fixed product, something you're born with or you develop at school, but actually it's hugely variable. It varies from hour to hour and even from moment to moment, depending on the conditions operating inside the human brain. Even the human brain isn't a single thing. It consists of a large number of different organs that have grown up on top of each other through the course of evolution. And which one of those is in charge depends again on the stresses of the situation that you're in. So you could say that every human being contains a highly intelligent, philosophical character, something that is much more like a chimpanzee, something that is potentially friendly but also potentially quite dangerous, and also something that is very, very basic in its approach to life. Because one of the core elements of our brain is the amygdala, which actually really only deals with very basic and fundamental aspects of life, like fighting or running away or feeding or reproducing. And which of those brain areas is in charge depends very much on the stresses that the whole organism is under.
So what's really interesting about WeThrive is, whilst it is a piece of software, what we're actually selling is an outcome and a bit of information that people didn't have previously, which helps them achieve something different in their business. So that's quite a hard concept for people to understand and to sell. However, we have our exercise called the Polar Bear, which is where we actually ask people just to think back to the best job that they ever had. What were the factors or attributes of that workplace that made that so good for them? And they often talk about the people they were working with, the project that they were doing, who benefited from it. There's a whole raft of different things that come out, but there are always consistent themes. And then we ask them, how do they typically feel going into work in the morning to that role? And how would they feel at the end of the day when they'd finished working hard all day? And what we tend to find is that when we do that exercise, we build a very strong shared agreement over how we want their staff to feel in the organisation. And it's very simple to then explain to them how our 4C model for intelligent performance maps onto those sets of attributes and feelings, and how we can show them how close to that ideal state the individuals in their organisation are, and where the opportunities are to improve that for them.
As well, one of the things that we're seeing now from our customers who've been with us for a couple of years is that quite unexpectedly sick rates are dropping, which wasn't something that we'd ever sold as a benefit of using WeThrive, but it actually turns out that over the longer term, if you understand and intervene in the areas where working life is difficult for people, they end up choosing to come in rather than stay at home on days when it might be a marginal decision. When they could possibly take a duvet day, they often come into work instead because at work they're having a good time.